So today we're going to tie an intruder style fly that we're going to use generally in northern BC on the Skeena system for Steelhead, and we call this one the Joker. It's got the chartreuse hackles, sort of like the Joker's hair, and of course some of the other colors in his own scheme. So we're going to go ahead and tie this step by step. I'm using a salmon hook here, as you can see, but a 25mm Waddington shank would do just fine. To that we've attached our stinger style hook, a size 4 mustad tube fly hook. And we've secured it to the shank with Kevlar thread, and we're using a 3/16 lead eye, or eye of your choice. We're going to use some medium copper ultra wire, some pearlescent body material. This is poly flash, but anything will do. Two different colors of blue. In terms of crystal flash, we're going to use a chartreuse hackle. We're going to use some blue Amherst, black ostrich, red seal fur, and purple polar bear. So as you can see here, we've secured our stinger to the shank with Kevlar thread, and we want to leave just enough of a trailing loop here so that we can replace our hook, no longer than that. Add a small piece of copper ultra wire here for our ribbing, and add my pearlescent poly flat. Now we're going to wrap forward with our poly flash first. We're going to secure the poly flash. Trim that. Now we'll wrap our copper rib forward. Want to get about 5 or so ribs, just to give it a little bit of dimension. Now we'll secure our wire. Now we're ready to build a dubbing loop for our polar bear. So I'm going to select a small clump of polar bear from my larger patch here. I'm going to cut it off at the base. You don't want any more than a pencil diameter of hair, which just gets too bulky to work with. So I'm going to pull out just a little bit of the under fur here, and I'm going to place the polar bear into my dubbing loop. Taking the time to spread it evenly throughout the loop. I want the hairs to be perpendicular to the thread, so that when I spin my dubbing tool, I don't get too much of the tips twisted up. So now we're going to go ahead and spin our dubbing loop with our polar bear. We're going to be cautious not to let the tips of the polar bear get caught up and twisted onto the dubbing loop itself. We want to keep those nice long tips of the fur free, so we'll take our time to pick it out. We only want the base of the fur to be wrapped up in the dubbing loop itself. Now we're ready to start wrapping our dubbing loop forward, creating our collar of the polar bear. And you just want to palmer this on, being careful to keep the hairs facing the rear of the fly. we're just going to secure the collar back down with our thread. Trim the excess thread from the dubbing loop. We're just going to hold this collar back here and wrap back over top to really secure it to the shank and start to make the collar that we're going to start tying our other materials onto. Okay, so what I've done here is I've taken about 4 or 5 strands each of royal blue and light blue crystal flash, and I'm just going to fold them in half to essentially double our number of strands. And I'm just going to cut them so the ends are even. And now I'm going to secure that directly behind our polar bear collar. I want to have the crystal flash reach to about the level of the hook, even just a little bit beyond it. Get that to sit properly. And wrap it all the way back till you meet with the polar bear collar.